What if the skies suddenly opened up and released a wall of water taller than a skyscraper? Or the ground beneath your feet cracked wide open without warning? These aren't science fiction. They're real disasters that changed the course of history. Today, we're counting down the 10 worst natural disasters in human history. Catastrophes so powerful, they didn't just destroy cities, they reshaped entire civilizations. From ancient quakes that brought empires to their knees, to floods that drowned millions, this journey will show just how destructive and unpredictable nature can be. And trust us, the number one disaster on this list, it wiped out more people than most wars combined. Before we dive in, welcome to Bright Mind Station, the channel where science, history, and epic storytelling come together. If you love jaw-dropping facts and powerful true stories, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of discovery. 10. Antioch Earthquake. In May 526, the bustling city of Antioch, located in what is now Turkey, was rocked by one of the most devastating earthquakes in ancient history. With a magnitude of 7.0 on the Richter scale, the quake caused the ground to ripple like waves on water. But the shaking was just the beginning. A massive fire broke out immediately after, sweeping through wooden homes and temples. The flames burned for days, destroying most of the city and taking more than 250,000 lives. At the time, people believed it was a punishment from the gods. But today, historians recognize it as a turning point in how natural disasters can collapse empires. What do you think caused ancient people to believe disasters were punishment from the gods? Share your theory in the comments. 9. Haiyuan Earthquake. In December 1920, the Haiyuan County in China experienced a catastrophic 7.8 magnitude earthquake. Entire villages were flattened within seconds, and the aftershocks continued for weeks. The quake split open roads and buried homes under landslides. More than 273,000 people lost their lives, many of them trapped in crumbled homes or struck by falling debris. It remains one of the deadliest earthquakes in Chinese history and serves as a stark reminder of how a few moments of shaking can leave a permanent mark on a region's future. Could modern buildings survive a quake like this? What tech might help? Let us know below. 8. Indian Ocean Tsunami. On December 26, 2004, the Indian Ocean experienced one of the largest undersea earthquakes ever recorded, measuring 9.1 on the Richter scale. The quake triggered a massive tsunami that swept across coastal countries, including Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and even reached the shores of Africa. Towering waves as high as 100 feet crashed into cities, dragging people, homes, and vehicles out to sea. Over 280,000 people died, and millions were left homeless. This tragedy changed how the world prepares for tsunamis, leading to improved warning systems and faster emergency response in coastal regions. What would you do if you had just 5 minutes to escape a 100-foot wave? Tell us your escape plan. 7. Calcutta Cyclone. In October 1737, the city of Calcutta, now Kolkata, was struck by a monstrous tropical cyclone. Storm surges flooded the city with walls of water, while winds ripped rooftops off houses. Boats were tossed like toys, and entire districts were swallowed by water. Over 300,000 people perished in the chaos. The combination of wind, flooding, and flying debris left the city in ruins within hours. Survivors described apocalyptic scenes of destruction, with bodies floating through the streets and no safe place to hide. At the time, meteorology was nearly non-existent, so no one saw the disaster coming. It remains one of the most tragic examples of how tropical storms can devastate unprepared cities. The cyclone not only changed the physical landscape of Calcutta, but scarred its history with unimaginable loss. With no weather forecast back then, survival was pure luck. Do you think we're prepared enough today? 6. Coringa Cyclone. The port city of Coringa in Andhra Pradesh was hit by a powerful cyclone in November 1839. A monstrous 40-foot tidal wave surged inland, smashing ships' docks and entire villages. The harbor, once a bustling trade hub, was reduced to ruins. An estimated 300,000 people were killed, and the city never fully recovered. This was not Coringa's first tragedy. It faced a smaller cyclone decades earlier, but nothing prepared for the sheer force of this one. Hundreds of trading ships sank, and families vanished overnight. Imagine a city wiped off the map and never rebuilt. What would it take to rebuild such a place today? 5. Bhola Cyclone. On November 12, 1970, the Bhola Cyclone slammed into coastal Bangladesh, bringing with it deadly winds and massive flooding. Entire islands disappeared beneath the storm surge, and villages were torn apart. Around 375,000 people lost their lives, many of them fishermen and families who had no time to escape. The storm struck in the dead of night, leaving communities helpless and unaware until it was too late. How different would the outcome be if it hit in today's digital world? Could tech save lives? 4. Tangshan Earthquake. On July 28, 1976, the industrial city of Tangshan was shaken awake by a violent earthquake measuring 7.5 in magnitude. Entire factories, apartment buildings, and roads crumbled instantly. Over 450,000 people died, and millions were injured or displaced. Rescue operations were hampered by collapsed infrastructure, and the city became a zone of heartbreak. Despite being one of China's most important cities, the earthquake exposed a lack of preparedness and led to changes in emergency planning and urban safety codes. In the aftermath, survivors faced bitter cold, food shortages, and limited medical aid. Makeshift shelters and field hospitals popped up overnight, but supplies couldn't meet the need. In many areas, rescuers had to dig through rubble with bare hands. Millions were left homeless. What should governments prioritize first in massive disasters? Rescue or rebuilding? 3. Shaanxi Earthquake. The Shaanxi Earthquake of January 1556 remains the deadliest earthquake ever recorded. It killed over 830,000 people in just a few minutes. Many lived in yaedongs, homes carved into cliffs, which collapsed instantly during the quake. Entire provinces were affected, and the population took decades to recover. The scale of this disaster was so vast that historical texts describe it as the sky falling. To this day, no earthquake has claimed more lives. It was the deadliest quake ever. Can you imagine surviving a cave collapse like that? 2. Yellow River Flood. In September 1887, the Haiyuan or Yellow River overflowed its banks after weeks of heavy rainfall. The river broke through dikes and flooded the surrounding plains, swallowing towns, farms, and people. Over 900,000 lives were lost in the disaster. It wasn't just water damage. The aftermath brought disease, famine, and long-term suffering. This flood remains one of the most lethal water-based disasters in human history. Disease and famine followed the flood. Which do you think is deadlier, the disaster or what comes after? 1. Yangtze River Floods. Between July and November 1931, the Yangtze and Yellow Rivers swelled due to heavy snowmelt and constant rain. The result? One of the worst floods in recorded history. Over 1 million people died, not just from the flood themselves, but also from disease, starvation, and lack of clean water in the aftermath. The flood affected nearly 50 million people, roughly 1/5 of China's population at the time. It stands as a grim reminder of how climate and geography can combine to create truly apocalyptic conditions. It wasn't just a death toll that was catastrophic. Entire economies were wiped out. Rice crops drowned, food prices soared, and famine swept through multiple provinces. Disease ran rampant in makeshift refugee camps. The 1931 flood fundamentally changed how China approached infrastructure planning, leading to creation of dams, reservoirs, and coordinated flood control systems in the decades that followed. If 1/5 of your country was underwater, what would you do first? Comment your survival idea. Nature doesn't ask permission. These disasters reshaped the earth, tested human endurance, and reminded us of just how fragile civilization can be. Which of these disasters do you think would have been the hardest to survive? Drop your answer in the comments. We want to hear your thoughts. And if you found this journey eye-opening, subscribe to Bright Mind Station for more powerful stories, epic science, and what-if scenarios that make you think.